The Japanese invaders were in full retreat now as His Majesty's troops gave chase. Most of the foreign forces will never return home as they lay dead or dying on the now quieting battlefield. It seems as if a few will escape with their lives, but they are no longer the overwhelming force they once were. As the armory captain started to gather his troops in order to determine the extent of their losses, he shined a smile of relief as I approached him alongside of his unusually large friend. As the two men exchanged a brotherly embrace, the larger man grimaced from his pain as the extent of his injuries started to become clear. The armory captain pulling back his armor to inspect the seriousness of his wound. He quickly removed a pouch from under his belt containing crushed herbs. Then he began carefully packing the deep gash with the prepared medication. The armory captain gathered his men together to instruct them about what was to happen next. He picked two young men and instructed them to go back to the palace as quickly as possible to tell the king the news of our great victory. Then raising his hand over his head he said, "I need 7 men to stay behind to be sure that the Japanese do not return and to keep an eye on the farming villages." Without hesitation, he had many volunteers offering to stay behind. Picking one man he said, "You take the lead, pick your men." The man nodded and chose the other 6 who would remain behind. The armory captain began looking around at the carnage of the conflict and hung his head low and stated, "Men, today we have suffered a heavy loss. But today we will also head home in victory." Then he drew his sword over his head and all the men gathered in loud cheers of celebration because of their dominance over the enemy. Now turning his attention towards me, the armory captain warmly extended his right hand in friendship. As I put my hand forward to accept his grip, I began removing my head covering with my left hand, exposing my face and revealing my identity. The expression on his face indicated unexpected disbelief as he recognized me. "Where did you learn those incredible martial skills?" he asked. "I've never seen anything like that." Lowering my head, I humbly responded, "My master was very competent." He laughed heartily and motioned for me to follow him as we grouped together to return to the palace. Taking a position in front of the troops, the armory captain, myself, and the quiet giant began our journey back to the safety within the palace walls. He started his conversation with me by saying, "Your sister-in-law is staying in my home along with her elderly assistant. She gave birth to a healthy, rugged little boy. They are all well, but they are of course very concerned with the details of what occurred in your village." I responded with a simple answer. "My village no longer exists." Then I reached over and put my hand on his shoulder to get his attention to look in my direction. "Sir, I just want you to know how truly grateful I am for taking care of my sister-in-law for me. She is the only family I have left. I don't think I will ever be able to repay you for your kindness." The armory captain gave way to laughter, nudging his large friend next to him. "Are you kidding me?" he asked. "Do you have any idea how grateful we all are to you for what you did back there today? Every man here is in debt to you, and I feel confident His Majesty will feel the same way." I felt humbled and yet proud as we continued our journey. I could see the palace walls now. It will not be too long before I have reunited with my sister-in-law and my master's only true heir. Not long ago, I felt fearless. But the closer I get to the palace, the more afraid I become of breaking the news of what happened at our village to my sister-in-law. How will I tell her that the husband she once adored is gone and the place she came to call home is no longer inhabitable?